ages, asset management has enjoyed great moments of inspiration and discovery. In early Stone Age societies, their entire existence focused on survival. As a result, the Stone Age was a very dark time in the history of asset management, and in Egypt, assets were recorded on rolls of papyrus using a reed brush and ink. Unfortunately, the Egyptian asset management system lacked some key features, such as the concept of the number 0. This caused a great deal of confusion, particularly during audits.
So, Scribe Nolan, exactly how many installations of Microsoft Windows did you say that you had? Very well then. Let's just consider this an enterprise license. That will be 2 swine and a goat, please. And for only a chicken more, we can upgrade to premium support.
Despite some critics, the Egyptian system of numbers and asset management persisted for about 3,000 years. It was at that time that the Roman Empire came swooping in, with their shiny chariots and their excessively strappy sandals.
Ooh la la!
Within the Egyptian government, the Romans immediately began replacing the Greek language with Latin. The Romans also moved to replace the Egyptian hieroglyphic number system with a number system of their own, and the influence of their number system reached far and wide.
IV!
It wasn't until the birth of the number 0 in India that the world was ready for It was a prosperous time in the kingdom of procurement. Even the great financial wizard, Pete, had not been heard from for some time. Instead, he kept to himself in his mage tower, working his powerful magic behind an enchanted portal. Down the hill from Pete's tower, Queen Welch held court, accompanied by her beloved hound Projects. She listened to the daily concerns of the nobles and commoners alike. Always present in the royal chambers was the Queen's provost, Lady Diane. Lady Diane acted as an advisor to the Queen, and was known far and wide for her negotiating skills. Even the most battle-hardened knight was unable to resist.
Well, would you do it for cherry pie?
Sir Nolan, ever vigilant in his quest for cost saves, could often be found at his favorite pub, the Saigon Kitchen. Under the command of Sir Nolan were the Knights Cone, Patney, and Prentice. Knight Cone was a mysterious sort, cloaking herself in black and taking to the shadows on a quest for rogue desktop devices. Knight Prentice could usually be found with a mining pick in hand, searching through voucher mining nodes for the perfect specimen.
Yes!
Knight Patney tended to the stables, most often seen caring for the great steed Cognos. Unlike most residents of the castle, Sir Patney was able to coax Cognos to do all kinds of tricks.
Go!
Until recently, Maid Marilyn had also been working in the stables, tending to the great stallion Altiris. However, while out riding through the countryside one afternoon, Maid Marilyn met with some misfortune.
Are you kidding me? Of all the days to get pulled over. Is there anything wrong, officer?
Software license and registration, please.
But I've had old Loftware here for 10 years.
I'm sorry, but ignorance of the law is no excuse.
I'm innocent.
Save it for the judge.
In addition to hearing requests from those of her kingdom, Queen Welch also hosted visitors from other realms. 2 regular guests were Princess Jules from Ambridge and Duchess Susan from Damwick. Both ladies worked with members of the Asset Management Guard to ensure compliance in their respective shires. The kingdom enjoyed much peace until the arrival of a herald from Ersatz. The herald indicated that an Ersatz auditor had been spotted to the north, wreaking havoc upon the countryside. Upon receiving the news of a pending audit, Queen Welch wasted no time and dispatched a courier to Scranton. Upon his arrival in Scranton, the courier met with Duchess Mary. After a brief discussion, she sent the courier ahead to Samelot to speak with the Knights of the Pivot Table. Duke Toomey asked Knight Clausen to address the knights.
We have just received word of an Ersatz audit approaching from the north. Duchess Mary has asked for our immediate assistance. Prepare yourselves for battle!
As the Knights of the Pivot Table gathered their armor and weapons, Duke Toomey paid a visit to the Knights Olsen and Kreider. At the news that they would soon be receiving a very large audit reaver for redeployment, they broke out into dance. The Knights of the Pivot Table were ready to march within minutes of receiving their orders. Duke Toomey led the march on his Great White Mammoth expedition. Back in Scranton, Duchess Mary had summoned her own two trusted knights, Lady Carlson and Sir Farmer. She instructed them to ready their armor and weapons for battle. Sir Farmer headed toward the barn where Scram was stabled, while Lady Carlson rode toward the Kingdom of Procurement where Cognos awaited her. Duke Toomey and the Knights of the Pivot Table arrived in Scranton, and they began to outfit Duchess Mary and Sir Farmer. Knight McQuinn, who happens to be an identical twin brother of the courier we saw earlier, presented them with the Sword of Inner Sight. This sword would allow them to pierce the hard outer covering of the Audit Reaver in battle. Knight Clausen presented the Shield of Server Assets. Not only would it block most attacks by the Audit Reaver, but it also added a plus 50 to server software intellect. Knight Gracie the Cat Herder presented them with the Helm of Greater Validity. He also bestowed an aura of Seek software, which would allow the Sword of Inner Sight to land only critical blows. Finally, Knight Marcus outfitted both their mounts with widgets of data retrieval. In the spirit of goblin engineering, the widgets also allowed the rider to see how every situation they found themselves in had previously been covered in an episode of South Park. Equipped with the armor and weapons of the Knights of the Pivot Table, Duchess Mary and Sir Farmer rode from Scranton to face the audit alone. They realized that the chances that Cognos and Lady Carlson would make it to Scranton in the next 5 minutes were not good, and this battle really needed to stick to the agenda. As they crested the next hill, Duchess Mary and Sir Farmer were suddenly confronted with their terrifying first view of the Ersatz Audit Reaver. Without a moment's hesitation, Duchess Mary drew her sword and charged the great machine. Duchess Mary and Sir Farmer received a hero's welcome as they rode into the Castle of Procurement. The Ersatz Audit Reaver had been defeated, and everyone deserved a pat on the back for the part they played. The visiting Marquis of Mott proposed a toast.
A toast to asset management and procurement. May your spreadsheets be full and your graphs overflow. Cheers!
The entire asset management team raised their glasses and drank to their successes.
And they were all promptly hauled into HR for drinking on the job. If we make an exception for one person, we'll have to make one for everyone.